Today on an all-new Dr. Phil.
My mother's a party mom.
Did you drink with them when they were underage?
Maybe once.
Plenty of times.
While mom has a good time,
Your daughter's pregnant at 12.
And it's not like I made her go out and get pregnant.
are her kids suffering?
You've had to wear an alcohol monitoring device. What'd you do the day you got it off?
I went out drinking.
So you don't know what's going on, do you?
I guess not.
Well, I'm just asking you. Don't give me your pouty response. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
I hate to see people suffering, and you've heard long enough.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
Roll 70. Take
I'm going to get you the help that you need.
In 5, 4.
This is going to be a changing day in your life. When you think of mothers, these images may come to mind. But my first guest, Mercedes, says these are the images she remembers of her mother, who she claims has been partying 3 to 4 times a week for 18 years, often neglecting her own children. Mommy Beerist took Mercedes to a bar when she was just 15 years old. Let's hear what this daughter has to say.
My mother, Sue Ann, is a party mom. She goes out and parties at least 3 to 4 times a week. She comes home drunk often. Sometimes she stays out all night and doesn't even come home at all. When my siblings and I were younger, we would have to go out looking for her late at night because she was out drinking. It was really awful. When I was 15, my mother would take me to the bars with her. I've been taking care of my siblings since I was 8 years old. My mom would leave me to watch the children. I've pretty much always been the mother figure for my siblings. I had to clean, cook for them, make sure they went to school. I didn't get to have a childhood or go to school because my mother was out partying. I moved out of my mother's house when I was 16. I felt like I abandoned my siblings. After I left, they started running the streets and getting into trouble. I'm very angry with my mother. Most of the time I hate my mother. She's never had a stable home for us. My siblings are really going downhill and I don't know what to do anymore.
All right, Mercedes, I wanted to talk to you alone before I got others involved in this, because you say that you have kind of become the de facto mother here.
Yes.
You're mothering your mother, and you're mothering your siblings.
Yeah, I've always been the mother figure all the time.
When you say that she is out drinking, what kind of shape does she come home in?
She's still intoxicated when she comes home. She stumbles, she'll come home and I'll see bruises on her legs. She'll be slurring her words and she'll start fighting with us and arguing about little things and we don't even know what she's talking about.
And you remember this as far back as when?
As far back as 8 years old.
Okay. Has it had an effect on you?
Yes, it's had an effect on me. I have to stay home from school. I couldn't finish school because I had to take care of my siblings.
And you've got several.
I have 4 siblings.
You've got 4 siblings. There are 5 of y'all. And you've had to, there's you, there's Esteban, Jasmine, Destiny, Emilio. You've had to take care of them instead of her taking care of them. You had to get the kids ready for school.
Yes, I had to get them ready for school.
You had to help them clean their rooms. You had to clean the house.
I had to discipline them all the time.
You cooked for the kids. You had to break up their fights. Do all the things mothers do.
Yes.
Okay. And you had to drop out of school to do it because if you weren't there, where was she?
My mother would be gone probably at a party house still the next day. I could never find her.
Well, Sue Ann admits that she goes out partying 3 to 4 times a week. In fact, she spends more time with the folks at BJ's bar than her own family. Take a look.
I'm very excited about going out and having drinks. I like to go out and party. Oh, I go out like at least 4 times a week. Once a month, I'll drink from 10:30 p.m. to 8 a.m. in the morning. We're going to BJ's. I just know everybody. I know the bartenders. I know the owner's wife, the owner's son. They're family to me. It just relieves a lot of stress. Like, I don't know, it just makes me forget about everything, about my worries.
Hi. Hey, Marcia, how you doing?
How are you?
Really good.
This is my Jody, my good girl right here.
I go out because I do not want to be home alone.
I'll get funner as I drink.
I like to drink because it makes me happy.
Despite all of her hard partying, even drinking until she blacks out, well, Sue Ann insists that, hey, look, she says, I was a good mother.
There's times that I put the drinking ahead of my family. When Destiny was a year-old, I got my kids taken away by social services. Somebody called child services and said the kids were alone. When I was pregnant with my youngest, I drank a few times, a couple beers. About 3 years ago, I got charged with contributing to delinquency of a minor. My two daughters had picked me up from BJ's, and my alcohol was in the vehicle, and they pulled us over and charged me. About 3 months ago, Mercedes asked me to babysit for the kids. I said yes, and then I changed my mind because I wanted to go out drinking instead. I was a good mom. I always thought that I wasn't hurting my kids as long as I didn't drink in front of them. I feel like my kids deserted me.
Okay, Sue Ann, you've been watching the show so far, right?
Yes, sir.
And you've heard what Mercedes has said. You've seen the tape pieces up here. That sounds to me like you're not being much of a mother.
Actually, not right now, but she does have to admit that I was a good mother when I was there. And when
You were a good mother when we were little, when I was still a baby. But once I got old enough to even go to, talk and go to school, that's when I had to take over right away.
I just didn't think it would affect my kids if I would go out, as long as I wasn't drinking around them or having anybody else partying at my house around my kids. I figured, you know, well, they're all fine.
It does affect us when you come home drunk or we know you're out partying and we can't find you.
So you think you're a good mother?
I think I'm a good mother, but...
Okay, well, let's take a look at this. Because I kind of went through, we interviewed a lot of people for this show in your family. We interviewed you. And out of all of it, I went together and put together 3 things that I think really reflect your level of parenting, and we'll see how you feel about it. Mercedes says she's been taking care of you since she was 8. She said she had to start taking parental role at age 12 with her siblings. She quit school in the 8th grade to take care of her siblings, had her first child at 16, 3 children by 23, and a minor in possession charge by age 20. Okay, so would that be a good profile? I mean, would you say that's a good result of your parenting?
No.
Well, let's go on. Esteban, 21. He's on probation at 15 for trespassing, missed appointments with the probation officer, got house arrest with an ankle bracelet, and juvie for a month. Another good reflection of your good mom, you said, good mom. Then there's Jasmine, 19, kicked out of the house at age 12, just kicked her out, moved in with her boyfriend at age 14 because you lost the house. And she got a minor in possession charge at 15. So all 3 kids, criminal problems. This one's kicked out living with her boyfriend at age 14. Okay, then there's Destiny, who's 15. She's kicked out of school at age 11 for fighting, arrested at age 12 for battery against her sister Jasmine, probation until March of this year, pregnant at 12. Violated probation, stole makeup, and is cutting to relieve her stress.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Then we got Emilio, who's 13. He's younger, so maybe it hadn't hit him as much yet. Oh, no, I was wrong. He's charged with theft, breaking and entering, running from police. He's currently on probation, and the court took him away from you and gave him to her.
Yeah, that's correct. I've been under so much stress, and I guess I'm not putting my kids first. I guess I am putting alcohol
Well, let's
first.
see how the kids are hanging now. Let's see. Mercedes lives with her boyfriend in an apartment. Esteban goes back and forth between you and Sue Ann.
Yes.
Jasmine lives with her boyfriend. Destiny lives with Mercedes, and Emilio lives with Mercedes. So right now, you have one of your children, who's 21, splitting time between you and your daughter. All the rest of them are gone. 13, 15, 19, 21, 23, all gone. All gone.
I guess they just pushed me away because they realized what I'm doing. I mean, they probably known this whole time what I've that I've been putting alcohol first.
You've had 5 kids from 4 different fathers. You married the 5th guy, but he's in jail for 5 years, prison. You've been in jail 3 days for contributing to delinquency of a minor. You've had to wear an alcohol monitoring device for 30 days, right?
Right.
You're so bad about it, they said they're going to put a bracelet on you to monitor your alcohol consumption for 30 days. What'd you do the day you got it off?
I went out drinking.
Good choice. You were a CNA, right?
Correct.
Lost your license. You've been fired twice, unemployed for a year, evicted 3 times, lost your house, and CPS came and got your kids. Yeah. Other than that, you got this going on. You're in control.
No, I just think that I have so much stress in raising you guys when you guys are younger, doing it all on my own, that sometimes I feel like I deserve to go out. I deserve to do this. I deserve to do that.
Okay, we're going to talk to Sue Ann's 19-year-old daughter, Jasmine, and find out why she believes her mother is actually jealous and competing with her. We'll be right back.
My mom acts like she has no responsibilities at all. All she cares about right now is drinking and her boyfriend. I just don't want to be like her. It's time for her to grow up.
And later, did you drink with them when they were underage?
Yeah, maybe once.
What's the truth?
Plenty of times.
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil. At 10, he killed his own father.
You put a gun to his head and you pulled the trigger.
I was forced to do it.
His stepmother was convicted.
She recruited you to do this. If you said no, what happened?
She would torture me, burn me with the lighter.
Where was his birth mother?
I really thought he was going to have a good childhood.
I had no childhood. Judith tortured me for years.
How could you turn a child over to her?
That's tomorrow.
When I was 14, my mother came home for a night of drinking with her boyfriend, and she was still intoxicated. We all got in the car and drove to the liquor store. She bought more beer. I took her beer and I dumped it outside. My mother became furious, and we got into a physical altercation. We started arguing and throwing shoes at each other.
Mercedes says her mom often becomes angry and violent after a night of cruising the bars. Her younger sister, Jasmine, says she's fed up with her mother going out on all-night benders and wants her to grow up and start acting like a mom. Now, let's hear what Jasmine has to say.
When my mom wakes up in the morning, the first thing she's concerned about is who she's gonna go to the bar with. All she cares about right now is drinking and her boyfriend. When I was growing up, I remember my mom always gone. She'd be gone for 3 days. My sister would be babysitting us, and I just remember sitting there crying for my mom. I have a lot to be angry with her about. She gets so drunk that she would hit us. When I was 12 years old, she actually threw me out of the house. She called me a whore, she called me a bitch. She kicked me out, and I went to my friend's house for about 2 months. I think my mom acts like a teenager. She tries to dress like a teenager. My mom acts like she has no responsibilities at all. Whenever she'll go out, she'll stay on for like that whole night and then the whole day after that. And my mom just loves being the life of the party. Sometimes my mom tries to compete with Mercedes. Whenever my sister and my mom go to the bars, if a guy is sitting there talking to my sister, my mom will go in and try and get the attention from the guy off my sister. It kind of seems like she's jealous. My mom is not supportive of me at all. I got my job and I got my own house. I feel like that she's jealous of me. I just don't want to be like her. I'm going to be the opposite of my mom. I don't want to hurt my kids like that. It's time for her to grow up. I want an apology.
Okay, Jasmine, I'm glad you're here to talk about this. What do you want to say to your mother? I mean, let's just be honest, get it out.
I want her to realize how she's hurting us and how
Tell her, don't tell me.
She's ruined our lives. Does that matter to you?
Yes, it does.
Then why don't you act like it?
I didn't realize it until, I guess I did it.
Until
hit rock
now?
bottom again. Yeah, actually, till now.
And you promised me that you weren't going to go out and drink, that you were going to stay sober. You were, what, 70 days sober? And then right after that day, you went out and drank?
You've been drinking straight up until now, right? I mean, did you drink last week, this week, over the weekend?
Yeah, I drank over the weekend.
Yeah. So, do you have a job?
No, I'm not working right now.
What? Why are you not looking for a job?
I looked for a while and then I just gave up because I couldn't find anything.
So you just gave up?
I guess I did for a while, but...
That's like giving up on your kids.
And you got drunk last week and you didn't even remember what happened at all.
I know, sometimes I get drunk.
Where do you get the money for the booze?
I have friends that buy me beer. And then I was spending it on my child support check and when I was on unemployment for a while.
Do you realize how pathetic that is?
She'll have random guys.
You're using child support and friends, and you've got kids that you don't have a roof over their head. They're not going to school. They're all in trouble with the law. And so you take what little money you can gather up and go out and get drunk. It's pathetic. True?
Yeah, it is.
When you're out drinking, do you know where your kids are? Do you know where Emilio is? Do you know where Jasmine is? Do you know where anybody is?
I used to all the time, but now I really don't.
Well, we're here because these kids asked for my help. She didn't ask for my help. These kids asked for my help. So when kids ask for my help, I tend to listen and lean into it. So when we come back, we're going to talk to Sue Ann's youngest daughter, 15-year-old Destiny, and find out why she blames her mother for her own pregnancy, which, by the way, when she was 12. We'll be right back.
My mom has been partying ever since I could remember. She just lets the alcohol take over. She'll be like, "You're not my husband. I could do what I want." I don't want to talk to my mom anymore.
And later,
I wouldn't even be surprised if you drank when you were pregnant with them.
No, I did not.
Did you drink with them when they were underage?
One time when I was 14, my mom came home one morning still drunk from the night before. She had been out all night partying. She couldn't find her shoes. She thought I took her shoes from her. So she put my shoes on. She walked to her ex-husband's house, broke his windows. She came home. A few minutes later, the police showed up at our doorstep. All my siblings were there and they watched her get arrested.
Well, that was Mercedes talking about her mother, Sue Ann's outrageous behavior after a night of excessive partying. Now, our Twitter sphere is blowing up on this. Ann Bridges 222 says, "Wow, Mom, wake up. You are not a good mother." The next tweet says, "Getting more and more mad the longer I listen to this woman talk. Your childhood sucks, so now theirs has to? Lazy." Jeannie Kettle says, "Parenting is a verb. Partying is a verb. Pick one." Well said, Jenny. Sue Ann's youngest daughter, 15-year-old Destiny, says she and her mother went from best friends to bitter enemies, and she is fed up with her irresponsible and selfish behavior.
Ever since I could remember, my mom has been partying. She will be gone and drunk for 3 nights in a row. When she's drunk, anything could happen. There was one time that she came home drunk and she walks in screaming and yelling. She's like, "No, both, and I don't care about you guys. You guys get out of my house." She just started swinging on us, trying to hit us. And I had to hold her down while my older sister, Jasmine, called the police. She just lets the alcohol take over. I'll tell her, be like, "You're going out again." She'll be like, "You're not my husband. I could do what I want." And when I got pregnant, I was 12 years old. I felt like if I was getting the attention that I needed, then I wouldn't have gotten pregnant at such a young age. I don't want to talk to my mom anymore.
Well, Destiny doesn't want to talk to her mom anymore, but she is willing to talk to me, and she's joining us today on Polycom. Destiny, thanks for joining in. You've been listening to the show so far, right?
Yes, sir.
Did your mother know that you were sexually active at 12?
I don't think so.
Did you ever talk to her about it? Did she ever come to you and say, "Hey, you're hanging out with this boy a lot," or "Let's talk about this"? I mean, did she ever have the talk with you, mother to daughter?
No, never. I would never talk to her. That's why I would always be gone. She would always be gone, so I would never be home.
Right. What do you say about this? You just heard her tape piece. You've heard what she said now. Your daughter's pregnant at 12.
Yeah, it's not like I condoned it. It's not like, I could have her in my pocket all the time, I mean, it's not like I made her go out and get pregnant.
You can't have her in your pocket all the time because she's too young to get in the bar where you are all the time. That's the reason you can't have her in your pocket all the time. Seriously, that's your answer to that? Your daughter's pregnant at 12. She says you never had a conversation with her. She never talked to you about it. You didn't know she was sexually active. None of that took place. And you said, well, hey, I can't watch her all the time.
Well, I'm not.
How about some of the time? How about any of the time?
I'm not happy about it. I mean, I'm not happy that she had a baby at such a young age, but I don't regret my granddaughter either. You know?
No, I don't know.
Well.
I don't know. I don't know how you can waste your time and my time sitting there trying to defend what you're trying to defend. Are you serious? Tell me, what was your thought process when you went out drinking the day you got your ankle bracelet off?
I just thought, I'm going to go out.
Celebrate.
Get away.
And you didn't come home the next day? Probably not for 2 days after that?
Yeah, go out and celebrate that I don't have my ankle bracelet on anymore. I need a drink. I'm stressed. I have PTSD. I've been through a lot in my life. I just need to get away from everybody. I'm not going to sit at home being lonely when the kids are not there.
You know, you go out and embarrass yourself all the time. It's really embarrassing.
So you take that ankle bracelet off and you go celebrate by getting drunk.
Yeah. And then I had to go to rehab for 30 days, and I stayed sober for 70-some days, and I just fell. I just fell again.
Well, Sue Ann admits that she sometimes parties until she actually blacks out. We're going to find out what happened one night that still has her dazed and confused. We'll be right back.
Get a job, get a place to live, get into rehab, get sober, and do it for long enough to prove that you're serious about being a parent and not just being a party.
And later, that's the deal, and you can take it or leave it. You go straight there from here, and you work the criteria until you get you back, and you can come to them from a position of strength and clear-headedness. So my question is you want that help or do you not?
No, I'm not going to go. No.
My mom's been getting blackout drunk. She told me that she didn't know where she was the night before. She came home in somebody else's shoes, and she did not remember where she left her shoes.
When I get really drunk like that, I don't remember. Sometimes people tell me what I do, and then I have to apologize.
She still wonders till this day where she left her shoes.
We're talking to Sue Ann today, whose daughters Mercedes and Jasmine both accuse her of being a bad mother for constantly partying over the past 18 years. Before you came here today, what did you think I was going to say to you?
I wasn't sure. I mean, no, I'm not happy about the way I've raised him.
But you want him back.
But I want him back, and I am so proud of how they have grown. She's a great mother. Jasmine has her own place. She's
Then why didn't
working.
you act like it, Mom?
You know, I asked a member of our advisory board to join us today. It's Dr. Charles Sophie. And Dr. Sophie is the medical director for the Los Angeles Department of Children and Family Services. And by the way, that's the largest Department of Child and Family Services in America. And he's the medical director. He's a well-known author, and as I say, a member of my advisory board. Dr. Sophie, yes. If these folks are not in your jurisdiction here,
right?
If you came in to evaluate this, what would you say about returning Emilio and/or Destiny to her care and supervision?
I would say they'd be safer on the 405 freeway, which is the busiest freeway in the country. They're not safe at all with her. At all.
And as opposed to bringing them back to her, what would you do?
Well, I mean, these poor women have been charged with being adults. They've been parentified. You say you raised them in a good way and they turned out, but you didn't raise them. They raised themselves. And that's shameful. Are you at all embarrassed?
Yes, I am. Of course.
How do you show that to them? I wouldn't even be surprised if you drank during their pregnancies, when you were pregnant with them.
No, I did not.
Did you drink with them when they were underage?
Honestly, yeah, maybe once.
Plenty of times.
What's the truth?
Plenty of times.
Plenty of times? I asked another expert to join us today. Los Angeles-based family law attorney and child advocate Areva Martin says Sue Ann has a lot of work to do if she wants to get her 13-year-old son back, for example. Areva, you're sitting here listening to all of this. What's going through your head? If you were appointed by the court ad litem or whatever to represent these children, what would be your advice?
Not to return them to this mom. She's not ready. I'm sitting here thinking she's saying all these things that she wants her kids back, but her body language and her tone suggests to me that you're not remorseful at all. In fact, you're fighting with your daughters about your conduct, and you're saying the past is the past. But you can't change the past unless you face it and acknowledge what you've done to these girls. Your daughter, Mercedes, stopped going to school in the 8th grade. You've denied her an opportunity for a career, for a job, to support herself. And now she has 3 kids with no education. How is she going to get a job? So I'm sitting here thinking these kids, the last place they need to be is with you. And if you're really serious, then do something. Get a job. Get a place to live. Get into rehab. Get sober. And do it for long enough to prove that you're serious about being a parent and not just being a partier.
What do you think about what she's saying?
That makes a lot of sense, but at first I thought she was trying to say for me to give up, that there's no hope for me. I believe there is hope for me, you know, and hope for me to be in my kids and grandkids' life again.
Well, yeah, I can't do this anymore. I can't be taking care of your kids anymore. I have my own kids to take care of. I can't do it.
So is there hope, and what is the road back? We'll talk about that after the break.
If you're going out and partying constantly, if you are unable to control yourself, if you are exposing your child to adult situations such as being intoxicated in front of them, then there is a line that you are crossing, and you need to get it together because you have a responsibility for another human being and you need to be there for that.
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil. His stepmother forced him to kill his dad.
You put a gun to his head and pulled the trigger.
Where was his birth mom?
I thought it would be best if I signed my rights off.
My mom never gives up their child.
That's tomorrow.
My 13-year-old brother already has a record.
Emilio got into some trouble breaking into a church and he stole some guns. He was court ordered to live with Mercedes for now because the judge didn't think he was listening to me.
My mother didn't show up to my brother's court date because she was out drinking the night before.
It was either Mercedes or foster care.
The prosecutors have your boy standing up in court facing a judge with criminal charges. And you don't show up. By the way, where were you?
I was probably out drinking.
So this
and
is
I
during
forgot
the day.
about,
this wasn't night court, right?
No. And I forgot about his court date. I was most likely hungover.
I had to walk into the court and say his mother is not showing up today. He was in shackles.
Well, like I said, I was probably hungover. And then I regretted it afterwards.
So at that point, the court just says, okay, that's it. I'm going to turn custody over to sister, who's only 10 years older and has an 8th grade education and 3 kids of her own, but that's better than you, so they turn custody over to her. Dr. Sophie, did they do the right thing?
Absolutely, and they should have done it sooner. Yeah. He needs to be safe. He needs a parent.
Right.
You know, Dr. Phil, too, I'm surprised she hasn't been arrested. This is classic child endangerment.
Clearly. So, Areva, why hasn't she been arrested, in your opinion?
You know, some jurisdictions are just loath in arresting parents for these types of offenses. But people think child abuse is just doing something affirmatively, like molesting a child. But child endangerment is a very serious crime, carries jail time, fines, penalties, and it's subjecting a child to harm, preventing a child from going to school, drinking in the presence of a child, leaving a child unattended. All of those things constitute classic child endangerment. She could be facing serious jail time, and maybe that's what's going to be needed to make her understand how serious these issues are. This is not a laughing or playing matter. These are children's lives at stake here, and that's why those laws are there, to protect these children.
Dr. Sophie, I agree with you. If she was in your jurisdiction, would you refer this to the court system for prosecution?
Oh, absolutely. I would call the child abuse hotline, make sure those children right there are safe and their siblings and then their children. She needs to be taken away, get some help. She may be in denial, whatever she thinks she's in, but this woman needs a lot of help because these children are not safe.
I do need help, but I don't need to go to jail, because what am I going to be doing in jail?
You've been in jail.
It wouldn't help me being in jail. I need some kind of counseling or some kind of help, not just sitting there rotting away.
But you're in too much denial, and you're sitting there saying that you did love them. You may have loved them, but giving them clothes and food is not enough. They need love. Every child needs love and safety. And you may not have gotten it, so you may not know how to give it, but you should not make them suffer. Give it to them, or allow someone to teach you how to give it. Come on, Mom.
Do you guys ever feel like I don't love you guys? You guys ever felt like I don't love you guys, even when you were younger and now too? So you guys are saying I don't love you guys.
When we were younger, yeah, Mom,
maybe
you were
you
there.
love us
You were there.
for us being your kids, but you don't care about us.
But after that, after you started drinking, you didn't care about any of us. You didn't care about where we were. You didn't care about if we had electricity, if we had even a place to stay, if we had the rent.
She thinks she needs a man. That's why.
Yeah, because that's all she ever deserved.
That's an important thing to talk about. And I have an important question for Sue Ann next. As we go to break, I want her to listen to what one of my viewers has to say about party moms.
I think moms who party too much need to stop and realize that, for starters, they're not in high school anymore, and they have an obligation to their children, and to protect their children and to take responsibility for their children and make sure that their kids are taken care of.
Hey, Dr. Phil here. Did you know that more than 16 million kids in the U.S. are at risk of hunger each day? That's more than 1 in 5 children. Now, these are our neighbors, our kids that play in the neighborhood, co-workers, friends' children. The problem is closer than you would think, but so is the solution. Join me and visit feedingamerica.org/hunger to find your local food bank to help. I'm Dr. Phil, and together, we are Feeding America. We can't do this show without you, our studio audience.
If you're going to be in the Los Angeles area and you would like free tickets, go to drphil.com and click on Be in the Audience.
Because we have a lot of fun here, don't we? Or you can call 323-461-PHIL. That's 323-461-7445. Well, I'm back talking to Sue Ann, Mercedes. Jasmine is here. Destiny has been on the Polycom earlier. There are other kids involved. We're just in a mess of messes. You drink to the point of being blacked out sometimes, right?
In the past, yeah.
Yeah, so you don't know what the hell was going on, do you?
I guess not.
Well, I'm just asking you. Don't give me your pouty response. Look, somehow or another, you seem to have the idea that if you kind of get an attitude and act kind of pissed off and pouty, does that work for you sometimes?
No.
I don't know what you think about this, but I am going to make a recommendation to you. You do need help, and you don't need like some 30-day rehab program. You need what's called a double diagnosis program of intervention and rehabilitation. And it's a very serious drill down on you and who you are and how you think and what your values and beliefs are and what your addiction is. I actually flew the man in here today. The founder and CEO of Origins Recovery Centers, Ben Levinson, is here with us today. And they do just that. They have comprehensive treatment programs for men and women. And they specialize in the integrated treatment of addiction and trauma and psychological disorders, how it all comes together. And that describes you, right?
Yes.
Does that describe you?
Yes, it does.
Ben, what do you've been listening to this whole thing. I've been watching your face here, and it's like you're seeing a bad movie for the 100th time, right?
Yeah, this family is really, unfortunately, a really great model for what addiction does within a family system. And Dr. Phil, you had it spot on that we're seeing the echoing of trauma, substance abuse, and other issues running through generations here. Girls, I know that you're thinking and you've been calling your mom a party mom, but let's be honest. Your mom hasn't partied in years. This party ended a decade ago. She doesn't have a problem with drinking and men. She has a solution called drinking and men. Your mom is not okay inside. And so when she went to rehab before and all we did was take away what she was using to get okay inside, the booze and the men, you had a solutionless woman standing there. It's like holding her breath for 70 days, right, Sue Ann? Of course you drink. If you're going to set down the booze and the men and become the woman that we believe you're capable of being, we have to find an alternative way for you to get okay inside. And that's what we do at Origins. We want to try to give you back to your daughters, but we're also really intent on helping your daughters step back into their selves. We look forward to working with this family.
So here's the point. I'm willing to make the arrangement and the accommodation for you to go to this place and get worked on, but the deal is you go there now, from here. You don't go home, you don't pass go, you don't collect $200, you go straight from here to there. And I have no idea how long you'll be gone, but I guarantee you it will be longer than 30 days. It will be longer than 30 days. It will be, the reason that I work with Ben and his amazing team at Origins so much is they work to criteria. They don't do 30 days and then say, well, the calendar says it's go time. They work to criteria. They work until you get where you have to be. And that's the deal, and you can take it or leave it. You go straight there from here, and you work to criteria until you get you back, and you can come to them from a position of strength and clear-headedness. And so my question is you want that help or do you not?
No, I'm not going to go. No.
I don't even want any contact with you. I don't want to deal with all that drama and all that fear and alcohol.
Ready to get real? Go to drphil.com for advice on relationships, parenting, finances, and more. Plus, weigh in on your favorite episodes, share your stories, and find support in the Dr. Phil community. When you sign up for the community, you will automatically be subscribed to the Dr. Phil Show newsletter. Log on to drphil.com today. I pretty much thought you would say no. And you understand the offer expires when I walk off from here today.
Could you not take it, Mom? If you don't take it, then I don't even want any contact with you. I don't want to deal with all that drama and all that fear and alcohol. Look how long it's been since I've talked to you now. It's been 3 months. Can you just change for us? Can you go for us? I'm asking you right now to change you.
Because when you go back, you're just going to go straight to the bar. You're going to be drinking. Same thing over and over. What other choices are there?
Yeah, I'll go.
Look her in the eye and tell her, I'm going to do this.
I'm going to do this because I love you guys.
Look her in the eye.
I'm going to do this because I love you guys.
Look right there in that camera and talk to Destiny. Tell her I'm going to do this.
I'm going to do this because I love you.
Mom, please do this. This is the only way that I have hope for you. Please take it seriously.
You've made a wise decision.
It's hard.
I want to thank all of my guests today, and a special thanks to family law attorney and child advocate Areva Martin. Special thanks to Dr. Charles Sophie, Medical Director of the Los Angeles Department of Children and Family Services. Nurse Jessica Rankin, thank you for coming to help transport. And a special thanks to Ben Levinson, the founder and CEO of Origins Recovery Centers. This is a national leader in dual diagnosis treatment. It's located in South Padre Island, Texas. I'm going to put a link on our website, so if you want to check out any of these experts, because they're all available to you just as they are to my guest here. If you want to contact them, we'll have links there. And a special thanks to our team at Doctors on Demand for helping with some of our guests this week with medical questions and consultations. And if you want a doctor on demand for yourself, you can download the app on Google Plays or the App Store. Go on your smartphone. You can be eyeball to eyeball with a doctor on demand. That's kind of cool, having a doctor on demand. Thanks for being here. So long.
I decided to go because I just feel it's the best thing. I admit I have a drinking problem.
I kind of expected she was going to say no to the treatment. I was surprised when she changed her mind, and I didn't expect it. I'm not sure if she's going to take it seriously, but I'm hoping she will.
I really didn't think she was going to say no. I thought she wanted the help. It hurt me. It really hurt me. I'm afraid that she isn't going to go through with it, that she's going to want to come home right away, and she's not going to listen to anybody.
I didn't know that I love him, and I'm sorry that I put him through what I put him through, but I'm willing to get help. And I just want to make things better for all of us, and I want them to forgive me.
I hope she does go through with it. I hope she gets better.
Say I'm proud of her now. I feel like she can do it. She really tries and she really wants it.